Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today it's my April wrap-up, the May the Force Read With You Readathon TBR, and a little information about the trip that I just went on. So I'm finally back. Guess what? After having strep throat, recovering just in time to film 2 videos before my vacation, then going on vacation, I come back to almost instantly get a gastro fever flu that had me bedridden for 2 days. I mean, come on. That's antibiotics for you. I'm very happy that I had them because it meant I could go on my trip and then my kids didn't get strep, which was honestly my most pressing concern. But oh my God. I'm over here now taking echinacea by the handful just to get my immune system built back up because I'm like, I need to film my videos. I also need to work. Now, if you're not interested in my travel story, there's going to be pictures. I've left that to the end. So first, I'm going to talk about what I read in April. On top of the ones I'm going to mention, I did also read Alien Speedway and Do You Dream of Terror 2. Alien Speedway's review is coming at some point. I honestly can't find the book. I don't know where it went. It's probably under the couch somewhere, but I need it because I have to show you some cool pictures that are in it. And Terror 2's will come when I get up the energy to write the review because I will say, not my favorite book in the world. Okay, so for April I read Withered, which was a horror LGBTQ plus book about this young person who moves to a new town and their house is haunted, but in a way that is very different than a usual haunting. I thought it was really good. I read Brunch at the All Alien Cafe, which is a collection of short stories about these kind of animal aliens, basically. And it's very cozy, it's very cute. I read Demon's Rage, which is the sequel to Demon's Reign. I really loved that. It's a fantasy about saving the world, basically, from monsters and demons. I read The Ministry of Time, which is a sci-fi romance about a woman having to onboard a man from the 1840s into modern society. I adored it. I read Ocean's Godori, which was a kind of soldiers, mercenaries in space. It's set in this future where Korea has kind of monopolized the galactic expansion. It was really interesting. And I also read I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle, which is a high fantasy about a dragon catcher that does not want to catch dragons. These books were all a lot of fun. I didn't dislike any of them. In fact, I gave most of them 5 stars. So I'm going to have a hard time ranking them. First, I guess, would be, though, All Alien Cafe. It was really cute and light and cozy, but I think I would just prefer a standalone story. I don't know, that's just if I have to pick some reason why it's the lowest on my ranking, that's the only reason. Because then we have Withered, which was good. It had a few elements I thought needed work, though. And then Afraid You've Got Dragons and Ocean's Godori, I guess I rank them the same because they're very, very different, but they're equally enjoyable. Then we have Demon's Rage versus The Ministry of Time. This is hard because Demon's Rage, I really was looking forward to it. I thought the audiobook was fantastic. My book boyfriend Red Eye is in it. But I'm going to have to go with The Ministry of Time because that book absolutely shook me to my core. I loved it. I was so surprised by it. And it was so romantic, but it was also funny. And it just had such a cool concept. And I also love that it included a character from real life. And it had a lot of things going for it that I really, really enjoyed. So for next month, and by that I mean this month, given we're almost a week into it at this point, I'm taking part in the May the Force Read With You Readathon. I've linked Eric at Break Even Books video below, as he explains it all. But basically there are numerous prompts that slide you into various roles in the Star Wars universe. You can choose your species, your job, your alignment. Everything is determined based on the prompts. Because I never remember to include updates throughout the month on these challenges or readathons, and some of the reviews are going to be going into June, I'm going to do a wrap-up on this in my May wrap-up to let you know what I accomplished, etc., and what prompts I completed. So, yeah. I need to be better about these readathon things, but anyway. But the books I'm going to read are as follows. As usual, I will attempt to poorly explain their premises based on my faulty memory. So Lost Ark Dreaming, this is an African novel. It's set in the future where everyone's living in these towers and someone's trying to break into the tower, I think. The Fireborn Blade, this is about a woman knight who is trying to kill a dragon, I think. The Redemption of Morgan Bright, a woman goes into an insane asylum. This one's a horror. I'm very excited for this one because Chris Panatier, or Panatier, I honestly have no idea how to say his last name, is a favorite author of mine. So I'm very excited for this one. Arborality. I know this one's a collection of short post-apocalyptic dystopian climate change stories, and it's Canadian. I really like it. Because I started reading it a while ago, right before I got strep throat, and then I put it aside because I was like not in the mood. Pink Eye. This is a comedy. I believe it's Australian, and it is about a town that is, I guess, a first contact experiment with aliens. I don't know. I'm reading This Is How You Lose the Time War. I have no idea what this is. It's the pick for Interstellar Book Club for this month, and the people have already read it and seem to really enjoy it, so I'm very much looking forward to it. It's also novella, and I like novellas because they're short. The Annual Migration of Clouds. I don't know what this is. I actually have a physical arc that the publisher sent me. They actually sent me the second one because it's a novella series. I'll tell you about it. The world is nothing like it once was. Climate disasters have wrecked the... Okay, it's a climate change book. Ooh, mysterious mind-altering fungi that invade the bodies of now scattered citizenry. Oh, so it's kind of like The Last of Us, but a bit more climate changey. That sounds fun. Okay, I'm very excited for this. My Darling Dreadful Thing is about a woman who sees ghosts, who's going to live in a haunted house that has more ghosts, I think. It sounds cool. Sounds very gothic, very, creepy, maybe sad. Thrill Switch is some cyberpunk one about VR worlds and murder. This one, and Can I, which I believe is about a woman kind of researcher, or maybe she's some kind of a mercenary on a planet discovering Forerunner technology, are part of the SBSFC3 reads. There's a third one I also have to read before June 15th, but I don't think I'm going to get to that. So those reviews are going to come in kind of early in June, either right before or after the finalists, the winner, I guess, is announced. Yeah, so, and I'll give a little kind of SBSF3 overview video at the end of June after that, just to kind of talk about my experiences with it, because I can't believe it's already kind of over, because it just seemed like it just started. Anyway, so if you're not interested in my road trip to the United States, feel free to just say goodbye now. But I'm going to talk for a few minutes about my trip because it was really fun and it was a nice break. So what did we do? As mentioned before, I live in Ontario, hence my Blue Jays Cup. I don't even watch baseball. I just really like queer stuff, and I like swag. Anyway, so I live in Ontario, and so my husband and I, we left our poor children alone with Grandma and Grandpa for a week. They loved it. Both of them, both Grandma and Grandpa, and my kids. And we drove to Estes Park, which is around 23 hours from home, to stay at the Stanley Hotel, which is where Stephen King was inspired to write The Shining. We did a whole tour of Stephen King while we were there. It's part of the hotel's experience. The hotel is beautiful. It's very old and classic feeling. It was really nice. The beds are comfortable. So we drove 23 hours straight to get there. We drove through the night. We switched on and off. I got maybe 5 hours of sleep here and there. My husband maybe 4, and then he got to sleep for a few hours in the morning because he had the hard drive during the night. I did the 12 p.m. to 6 a.m. sleep, but we woke up halfway through. I woke up halfway through because we had to stop for gas, and then there's a crazy man in the gas station. Anyway, while we were at the Stanley Hotel, we also did a hike. We hiked the Gem Lake Trail, I guess, which we thought was going to be a nice little walk in the woods. It was not a nice little walk in the woods. It was gorgeous, beautiful scenery. I said I was going to post pictures. There's going to be pictures. Here you go. It was an amazing hike, but it was very much above our skill level. Our idea of hiking around in Ontario, it's not very hilly here, okay? There are some hills. There's not hills like mountains, like in Colorado. So for us, we were just Also, we live at sea level here in Ontario. So in Colorado, where it was 7,000 feet above sea level, our oxygen was quite depleted. But anyway, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful hike. It really revved up our appetites for dinner. After that, so we stayed there for a couple days. Then we drove through kind of north slightly through Wyoming, which I absolutely loved, and I want to go back. I don't know. I just loved how desolate it was. It was just so, not desolate, that's not a really good word. It was just kind of empty, and I thought that was so cool. And I've always wanted to go to kind of, the national parks around there, so it was very nice to kind of get a little glimpse of it, at least the southern part of it. We went to Salt Lake City, which I'm not a city person, but I really like Salt Lake City. It was nice, and it was clean and very kind of friendly and small, and it was kind of cute. I wasn't super into all the religious churches. My husband wanted to look at them, but they were renovating them. They were covered in scaffolds. I was like, who cares? But then my husband, he's so nice. He made me a surprise. He took me to the library there. I didn't even think to if the library would be cool in the city. And the library there is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's all glass. It has all these kind of art structures everywhere. It has a very fun elevator. Yeah. So that was really nice of him. And I was like, oh. We only stayed there for one night. And then we drove off route a while to go see the Salt Lake itself. It's quite sad. It's drying up. And there a bunch of bugs attacked us. Plus, I live within driving distance at home to, like Lake Superior, as I've said before, which is a far superior lake. Also Lake Huron, the love of my life, the Muskokas. Even Lake Ontario has its charms. So yeah, for me, a lake that's kind of like, it's nice, I guess, but I was just kind of like, I got nicer ones at home. After that, we drove to Utah, to Zion National Park. Oh, you can't see my shirt. Anyway, I'm wearing a swag shirt from Zion. We stayed in these bougie tents. That was just lovely. I adore canyons and butts to no end. Zion itself was wonderful. We hiked the West Rim Trail to the Angels Landing in Zion. Well, we didn't do the Angels part because we are not experienced hikers, and also we're not idiots. So yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm not saying you're an idiot if you did it. I'm just saying, like, my husband and I, Rob, and I are not idiots for trying it because we knew that we couldn't do it. Anyway, it was a really nice hike, though. It was actually easier than Gem Lake. We also rode horses along a canyon near Zion. My horse was called Bourbon. He was so sweet. We drove the Zion Highway, which is the one that goes, through the canyons and into Mount Carmel. We did it once in the afternoon to go to the horse place, and then we went again. We did it at night. That was dicey. It was a dicey drive regardless. There's a lot of like switchbacks and stuff. And while I would have been fine, I think if it would have been in a smaller car with a bit of, sharper handling, in the van, I was kind of like, you do it, to Rob. I also wanted to take a bunch of photos. So, after that, we left Utah and we stayed in a lovely mountain town in Colorado. And then in the morning, we drove through a torrential, crazy snowstorm. It was awful. Like, I live in Canada, as I said, and this was an awful, awful snowstorm. It was white knuckle for like 4 hours. We actually were lucky that we left when we did, because if we hadn't, we wouldn't have made it. We would have had to pull over, and then we wouldn't have gotten home on time. All this nonsense. We saw about 10 or 12 cars after we actually left the mountain part and hit kind of the regular roads, drive off into the ditch because they just couldn't handle the slush. It was a mess. After that was mainly just driving, but it was relaxing aside from the storm, We filmed most of it on our GoPro, so if it looks all right when I kind of check it out, I might post a video compilation here of the bits and pieces. Who knows when that's going to be, though. Anyway, so yeah, that was my trip, and yeah, okay.